You have to know this. The fact that I'm here matters. The fact that you're there matters. This is no accident. None of us are.
هذه هي قوة مصر.
لقد قررت أن أتنحى تماماً.
Red everywhere, essentially, down by 4-5%. We're down over 16%.
Mr. Gorbachev, open this gate.
Because the Muhammad Ali Joe Frazier is going to meet is going to be better than the Muhammad Ali.
Our country is strong. A great people has been moved to defend a great nation.
نريدها قومة ونهضة إسلامية.
سنعود إلى كويتنا كما عهدناها دار أمن وأمان.
Yes, we can.
مهمتنا في برنامج أصحاب السلطة هي أن نلتقي بالقمم حيثما يكونوا في العالم. اليوم ضيفنا هو من التقى بهم على مدار عقود. هو أسطورة الإعلام، بل هو ملك الشاشة الصغيرة. هو الأسطورة لاري كينج هنا في بيفرلي هيلز، لوس أنجلوس.
Larry King now.
That's the intro.
I mean, you set the tone, man.
You are the king of kings. Sing is king.
Funny.
You got a funny from Larry King. You know it's funny.
You're getting a lap dance.
ولد لورنس هارفي زيجر المعروف باسم لاري كينج في نوفمبر عام 1933 لأب وأم يهوديين هاجر من بيلاروسيا إلى أمريكا. بدأت حياة كينج الإعلامية في إذاعة صغيرة في ميامي، حيث استقال أحد المذيعين ليقدم فقرات موسيقية ونشرات أخبار ورياضة مقابل $55 أسبوعياً. أصبح لاري كينج الإعلامي الأعلى دخلاً في العالم براتب سنوي بلغ $15 مليون وطائرة خاصة لتنقلاته من منزله في نيويورك إلى الاستوديو في لوس أنجلوس.
لاري كينج ملك الإعلام بدون منازع، أجرى آلاف اللقاءات خلال مسيرته الإعلامية، معظمها لا يزال محفوظ في أرشيف شبكة CNN الإخبارية الأمريكية. تابعه ملايين المشاهدين حول العالم، وترك بصمة وماركة مسجلة باسمه ستظل محفورة طويلا في تاريخ الإعلام المعاصر. قضى أكثر من ربع قرن في قناة CNN، حيث كان يطل على مشاهديه من خلال برنامجه الذي يحمل اسمه لاري كينج لايف قبل اعتزاله عام 2010.
Oh, the legend.
Welcome to my home.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us.
My pleasure.
How's everything?
Thank you. Wonderful.
Thank you. Very beautiful, beautiful, beautiful house you have.
Thank you. I never dreamed I'd live in a place like this. As I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, very poor. And to have this now.
But here we are.
Here we are.
Look,
life.
Mr. Larry, our mission in this program is to meet people that changed the history, that changed the world. And you met them all.
I didn't set out to change the world. But if I've played a small part, I'm thrilled.
Are you ready to talk to Kuwait and to the Middle East?
Ready.
Ready, good. Beautiful picture. The President Bill Clinton with your children?
That's when they're 17 and 16. And wow. Then I think they were 3 and 2 or 4 and 3.
Wow, how to have a picture of the president in the beginning from the door? This is something not usual.
No, but I've been very blessed. I've interviewed 7 presidents.
Do you remember how many times any presenter would dream to have a president as a guest in his show? Do you remember how many times you had president?
Well, must have been a lot. He wrote the forward to my book.
36 times. Yes?
You know more than me. 36 times.
Yes, sir. He did a lot.
Well, he's a great guest, and he's a wonderful man. It's great to be around him. I consider him a friend. But my first was, I go back, Nixon.
Wow.
So I go Nixon through Obama.
Yes, and...
But this was very special. He was, I have a picture, there's another picture inside, I have him when Chance...
Many amazing pictures.
When Chance was like 3 months old.
And he's part of the family, as I see. You have family pictures, and in the middle, a president.
I walk with kings.
Yes.
And you.
Hopefully, after you, getting your lead.
Thank you.
So can we go inside your house, please?
Please.
Thank you, after you.
Thank you.
We'll be talking on many things. We'll be talking about the early days, going through your many years of success.
It's been a long life.
Yes.
I hope it's longer.
Yes. Larry King. Let me start with this question. Why Larry King? From where did that name come from?
Well, my name was Larry Zeiger, and I was Larry Zeiger for 22 and a half years. Born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. My father died when I was 9.5. My brother was 6.5. My mother couldn't go to work, so we were on relief. But I always wanted to be in radio. Never wanted anything else since I was 5 years old. I would look at the radio and I would imitate the radio announcers. I wanted to be like them. When I was a teenager, I'd visit radio shows. That's all I ever wanted. And finally, I never went to college. I knocked around, had a bunch of odd jobs. And James Sermons, a man who's still alive, he was director of announcers at CBS. I met him on the street, and I told him I want to be an announcer. He said, go to Miami, try Miami, a lot of stations. So I went down to Miami, I had $20 in my pocket, $23, and I stayed with my uncle. He had a little apartment. And I knocked on doors, and one small radio station, I'd never spoken to a microphone before. I did a test. And the general manager said, I like your voice, and if we have an opening, you'll have it, and you hang around here and learn. So I stayed around the radio station. I watched disc jockeys and newsmen, sports. And one day a guy quit, and the station manager says, okay, Monday morning, you start. You're on from 9 to 12. You play music. In the afternoon, you'll do news, you'll do sports. You make $50 a week. And I was thrilled. So that was a Friday, and I stayed up all weekend, never slept, so excited. My dream was about to come true, small station. And I picked out my records that I was going to play, and I went on the air at 9, about 8:45 on Monday morning, May 1st, 1957. I always remember the date. The general manager says, so what name are you going to use? I said, Larry Zeiger. And you can't use that. Too ethnic. People won't know how to spell it. Today it would be used. Any name would go today. But you can't use that. What am I going to do? So he had the newspaper open, the Miami Herald. I would later write for the Miami Herald. And there was an ad for King's Wholesale Liquors. And he said, how about King, Larry King? I said, okay. That's how I got my name. And then when I went into the studio to go on the air, music's playing, I turned on the microphone, I faded the music, and nothing came out. Nothing came out. brought the music back up, nothing came out. I looked at the clock, it was like 2 minutes after 9. All the audience is hearing music go up and down, nobody's speaking. And I said to myself, maybe I don't have the guts. I know maybe I want this, but I'm too nervous, I can't do it. And the general manager kicked open the door and he said, this is a communications business, damn it, communicate. And he shut the door. I turned on the mic and I said, good morning. My name is Larry King. That's the first time I've ever said that.
Yes.
And the manager of the station just said, communicate. This is my first day on the air and I'm scared. And I never was scared again.
Never ever.
Ever. Because I learned that if you're truthful, if you're yourself, you can't go wrong. So let's say I made mistakes, that I scratched the record, read the commercial wrong. The audience that's listening is saying it's his first day. So that's something true I've learned all these years in the business, 60 years almost, that the only secret in this business is there's no secret. Be yourself. So I've never copied anyone. I never try to be like anyone else. I tell this when I speak at colleges or talk to young people who want to be abroad. Be yourself. Trust your own instincts.
And speak the truth.
Speak the truth. You can't go wrong if you speak the truth. You don't have to remember anything.
But if you allow me, Larry, you're saying that saying the truth will take will make it easier, and
No,
it will make. But is it true that news channels always say the truth?
No, they don't always say. But I wasn't in the business of. I was in the business of asking questions.
Yes.
So I wasn't making speeches. I wasn't delivering news, and I never talked about myself. I never said the word I. When I asked questions, the questions were for the guests, and I'm the conduit. In other words, with you and me now, you're the conduit to the audience. You ask the questions. You don't have to be truthful. You ask the questions. I will be truthful in the answers, and through you to the audience will go the answers. So I always viewed myself as the person representing the audience. The audience isn't there, so it's me. So I asked the best questions I could think of. I listened to the answers, and hopefully provide information that's also entertaining. You can read a book and be dull. So I think if I've done anything in the world, it's added to the information of the world. I've made the people more knowledgeable. They make their own decisions. But I've tried to bring out the best that I can, learning about people. I've always been fascinated by people. Why people do what they do, why they act the way they act. And it's no difference if I'm interviewing a president or a mayor or a ballet dancer or a child, or why do you do what you do? Why do you like to do what you do? What makes you do what you do?
يقول لاري كينج: لا أعتقد أنه يمكن على الإعلام أن يقود ثورة، بل واجب الإعلام هو نقل ما يحدث على أرض الواقع فعلا وكتابة التقارير. فالعالم اليوم تغير، فهناك الكثير من الثورات التي بدأت من خلال مواقع التواصل الاجتماعي كما حدث في ليبيا ومصر. فلا يمكن أبدا على الصحافي أن يقود ثورة، بل عليه فقط الإجابة على الأسئلة التالية: ماذا ومتى وكيف ولماذا؟
Why always why? Why is your secret the question why?
Why is the best question in the world. It can't be answered in one word, and it forces the person to think. Because people don't go around interviewing themselves, right? They live their lives. But when someone says to you, why did you, if I'm interviewing Osama bin Laden, an evil man, my first question would have been, you came from one of the richest families in Saudi Arabia. Why did you leave? Now, that sends him back to why he left. makes him think about why. And it's a much better question than why did you bomb people in New York, which would come later. Why did you leave a rich family? So he knows I'm interested in him, which I am, because evil people, see, we call people evil. An evil person doesn't get up in the morning, comb his hair and say, I am evil, right? I'm a terrible person. I'm going to commit mayhem today. They don't. They think everybody rationalizes what they do.
You're right.
Right? So I approach them from where they're going to come from. And in the end, you learn a lot about people that way if you use the why. And I'm a why person.
People would love to know more about you. So I'm
So
here.
ask.
So I'm here presenting the people. And I wanted to ask, many kids dream of what is the job when they become old. People or even adults. People dream of being pilots, policemen, firefighters. You dreamed to be a presenter or a radio station.
Radio. We didn't have television. So
Why?
I don't know why. I was a child. I might have had a good voice. People might have told me I had a good voice, but I was just a kid. I just knew I liked that sound coming out of the radio. I try to imagine what they looked like, those voices in my head. And I heard them in the daytime and the nighttime, and I heard them describing sports, and I heard them doing plays and playing music. And it was a wonderment to me, what was coming out of that box. Where was it coming from? What did they look like? Were they sitting? Were they standing? And I was fascinated by it. And I wanted to do that. I also liked telling stories. I liked acting out little things for my mother. In school, I was very good in English. I liked speaking. I liked communicating to people. It was a natural to me. So I never thought of anything else.
I have a friend, he's a big brother to me. He's living now in New York. His name is Mitch. He told me to ask you this question. Mitch, before 36 years, he heard you on the radio when you had a show between 12 a.m. to 5 a.m.
That was the first national talk show in America.
Yes. And he told me how he enjoyed listening to those stories. When you talk about the ice cream shop that you loved, even the guests that you had, the police officers. He told me, how did that all start? What do you feel when you tell those stories to the people and people are really enjoying their time?
Well, that was a 5-hour show. So I had guests, I had phone calls, and I had time. You know, in the format I do now, a half hour, an hour, there's no time to tell stories. I'm asking questions. But I'm a good storyteller. Those were long stories. But I could tell in a 5-hour show, I could tell a 20-minute story. Can't do it now. You know, we're talking here. But I like telling jokes. I like telling stories. I like referring to things that happened to me when I was a child. I call myself a communicator. Mm-hmm. And having a 5-hour show, I was doing television, and then a 5-hour radio show, I was writing a column, I'd write books. I always loved the idea of communicating to people by asking questions, telling stories. It was just, now where that came from, I have no idea.
Ted Turner, who created CNN. So
one of my best friends.
Great
and
man.
A great man.
Sure, 100%. He changed the world. He's one of the people that changed the world because he created CNN.
Changed the world.
Yes, and he wanted you he wanted to have you in CNN. Do you remember that story?
Oh, yeah. Ted had guested on my show. He'd been on my radio show. He'd been on my local television show in Washington and in Miami. And he started CNN in 1980. Yes. And in 1985, he had a girl on the air, Sandy Freeman, who did a show. And her husband represented her, and he didn't like her husband. and her husband was trying to hold him up. You know, you've got to sign this contract. So he called me, and he said, this was a Tuesday. He said, I want to know by Friday, would you like to have your own show on CNN? So I said, well, Ted, I love you, but I've got a local television show. I got a national radio show. I'm single. I can go to ball games. I can go. So I'd have to work 9 to 10. I'm doing 12 to 5 on radio. He says, well, think about it. So I sent my agent, Bob Wolf, to see him. A wonderful man who passed away, a great agent, first sports agent. And he came back, he said, listen, Ted will give you a good deal. He'll give you a 3-year contract. You'll make what you're making on the radio, you'll make the same thing. You'll double your income. And after 1 year, if you're unhappy, you can quit. So we called Ted, and I told Ted told that guy, the husband of the woman, goodbye. And a week later, we created Larry King Live. And the first night, Othman, the first night I was on the air, Mario Cuomo, the governor of New York, was my guest. I knew that would work.
You've talked about being truthful, and we talked now about Ted Turner. That leads me to something else, another moral, which is loyalty. Being loyal to Ted Turner. I heard one of your speeches.
That's a great story.
You talk about loyalty.
Bob Wolf had brilliantly put into my contract I signed my contract in 85, and then we signed a new contract in 87. And he had a window in 1988. A window was a 30-day window where I could look for other jobs. Mm-hmm. And if I found a job and I gave them 30-day notice, I could get a new job. So we went around and we visited television stations, and it was fantastic. And I met with Oprah Winfrey's producers, and they offered me something, and I met with ABC, and they offered me to follow Nightline. It was very heady. I was just, ooh, wow. I got all these great offers. So we finally, I was offered Disney, NBC, so finally we worked it down to 2. It was either going to be King World, Oprah's people, or ABC. So we told both of them it'll be one or the other, but we have to tell Ted, because we had an end mark. So Bob Wolf flew down to Atlanta to tell Ted. I flew out to California from Washington, where I live, went to the Beverly Hills Hotel, and I knew that Bob was meeting with Ted in Atlanta, and he was going to tell him I'm leaving.
Because you're already finished, you did your decision.
And all my friends, all my friends are telling me, well, I was making $800,000 at CNN, and both these offers were $1.5 million each. $1.5 million. So I'm going to double my money. Yes. And it was just fantastic. And I was a friend with Angie Dickinson, the actress, who met me at the airport. And she asked me, driving to the hotel, why are you leaving? So I said, it was double money. She said, are you leaving just for money? If you leave just for money, the first day you're unhappy, you're going to feel terrible. So she put that in my mind. Anyway, I'm at 6 o'clock in the morning. It's 9 o'clock in Atlanta, 6 o'clock here. The phone rings, and it's Ted Turner. It's Ted Turner. All he's saying is, Larry, Bob Wolf is here. He just told me you're going to leave, but I want to hear it from you, Larry. Say goodbye, Ted. I got my mouth. Say goodbye, Ted. You can't say it. You can't say it. You stay with me. I'll give you the same money in a year. And you won't be sorry. Bob Wolf is screaming, this is unethical, this is wrong. I'm his agent. It was really funny. And I stayed. And I stayed another 23 years. If you're loyal to Ted, he's very loyal to you. He never, ever said anything he didn't come through on. If he said it, all you did was a handshake.
التقى لاري كينج جميع رؤساء الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية، بدءا من الراحل ريتشارد نيكسون إلى الرئيس الأمريكي الحالي باراك أوباما. كما التقى بالعديد من الشخصيات